Happy to be here this evening and have a conversation with you about what I do. And I thought I'd really focus on GMOs and our children's health, which is a subject that I'm particularly troubled about, and I'll explain to you why as we talk. But before I begin, I just want to do a little quiz with you guys, and I think I'm speaking to a pretty friendly audience as I look at most of you. How many people here never eat organic food, ever? Raise your hand by a show of hands. Okay, you're afraid to admit it. 25%. You eat organic food 25% of the time. Show by your hand. Wow, easy crowd, easy crowd. 50%. You eat organic food about 50% of the time. I'm memorizing your faces, by the way. 75% of the time. Ooh, wow. And 100% of the time. Whoa, my people. Oh, my people. Okay, so let's get started. Oh dear. Oh dear.
Yeah, it's.
So this is kind of a scary slide because this is the first time in modern history where we will be healthier than our children. And as a New Yorker and an emergency physician, pediatric ER doc, I don't scare easy, but this stuff is scaring me. So I'm going to try and scare you, but just a little bit, and then I'll de-scare you at the end of the talk. Yeah, hold on. You can't look at Georgie yet. So let me share a day in my life with you, what it's like working at the IHH with these kids, and what am I seeing increases in. Now, first of all, our digestive issues. And I'm going to spend most of this talk talking about digestive issues, so we'll come back to this. Respiratory issues, increases in asthma, chronic infections of the tonsils, adenoids, chronic ear infections, off the charts. Autistic spectrum. Now, this, by CDC definition, has hit epidemic proportions. We now have 1 in 50 children is diagnosed with autistic spectrum disorder, and so 1 in 100 makes the classification of an epidemic. So how every pediatrician's not out there screaming, I don't know. Immunologic-based disorders, I'm seeing kids who can't fight infections. They get sick and they can't kick them out. Their immune systems are sluggish and unhappy. And endocrine and hormone issues such as diabetes, kids with pre-diabetic states, thyroid issues. I have boys with autoimmune thyroid diseases. I never saw that 20 years ago. I've been a pediatrician for 33 years, etc. And I haven't even gone into my whole day. So here's the question. What's causing the baby to cry? So this may be too simplistic for this crowd. I'm not dumbing down, guys, but I thought I would just start at the basics so we're all speaking the same language. This could be a good TED Talk, but Mr. TED doesn't allow GMO conversations. So, oh yeah. So, all right, just a little bit of politics. And so you're going to get a TED Talk tonight. So first of all, let's define what's a GMO. And basically a GMO is a genetically engineered organism or genetically modified organism that are created by taking 1 or more genes from one species and forcing it into the DNA of another species. So if you don't eat organic food in this country, if you eat soy, corn, or canola, it's genetically modified. About 94% of our soy is GMO, over 90% of corn and canola, which is really a non-food. So of course, you know that's different than hybridization, which is the offspring resulting from the cross between different species, such as the tangelo, which is the hybrid of a tangerine and a grapefruit. So I've heard physicians actually get this wrong. So let's just clarify the terms. There will be a test when we're done. So what are herbicide-ready crops? And I purposely did not say Roundup-ready crops, but now I said it. I'm like a lawyer, right? I just slipped it in there, but it's not on the slide. And I know, I've been around a long time. So herbicide-tolerant crops are engineered to withstand high doses of pesticides. What are pesticide-producing crops? These are crops designed to produce a toxic protein within the plant. Insects that have the misfortune of eating that plant will die by causing their stomachs to rupture, and those are called Bt crops. So it was thought that when humans eat these Bt crops, that our stomachs would be able to digest them. Well, lo and behold, it's found that we can't, and that's actually in a study. Not only cannot some of us, not all of us, some of us can't digest it, but we have little pesticide-producing factories in our guts. So some of us are making pesticides. Some of you right here might be making a pesticide. So I don't want to depress you thoroughly, but most of you look old enough to remember these three guys, Curly, Larry, and GMO. And so now I want to get into a little science, because if you're going to believe anything I say, I have to show you at least 1 or 2 studies, otherwise it's too woo-woo frou-frou for you. So let me just show you a study. And this is a study that I learned about through my work through a Marin Moms group called Moms Advocating Sustainability. And I was asked to join their board. Reluctantly I joined, because this was years ago, and I had kids and PTA, and I was doing all that stuff we moms do and working. And I joined the advisory, and I met this amazing group of very angry women. It was fabulous. Better than therapy. And so through my association with these women, I learned about Jeffrey Smith, who wrote Seeds of Deception. Through Seeds of Deception, I read his book, and on page 16, swear to goodness, at the beginning of the book, I learned about Arpad Pusztai. Now, I'm married to a Hungarian. If I screw up that guy's name, because he's Hungarian, I think my mother-in-law is going to come out from the audience. So Arpad and his wife were researchers at the Rowantt Institute in the UK. And they were asked around 1995 to take a look at GMOs when they were coming into Europe. And so this guy, Arpad, does that accent sound good? Arpad Pusztai. Arpad decided to take a look at this, and he devised a study looking at 2 groups of rats. One group of rats were fed non-GM potatoes, and one group of rats were fed GMO potatoes. And he did some biopsies looking at their stomach lining and their intestinal lining. And what he found, and this slide probably means nothing to you, but what he found was, if you look at this slide, do I dare touch this? Oh yeah. This is normal stomach lining in the non-GMO fed potato group. That's increased growth in the GM fed group. And this is called hyperplastic cell growth, which is a precursor to cancer. Then he looked at the intestinal wall of the non-GM fed rats, and you see these little finger-like projections. They're called villi, and they make up this absorptive brush border of your intestinal lining, sort of like a towel, little finger-like projections. So nice normal villi on the left, and lo and behold, abnormal architecture, and that's abnormal. So I had an aha moment when I saw this slide and read his work. So I had a moment like, whoa. So you all can practice me, whoa. Whoa. Light bulb. I had a big light bulb go off. So let me just summarize Pusztai, Arpad Pusztai's work, and actually it's Pusztai Arpad. In Hungarian you say the last name first. Yeah, see? That he found a few things. That the nutritional content of the GMO potatoes was less than conventionally grown potatoes, about 20% less. That rats that ate the GMO potatoes had damaged immune systems. Whoa, what was I telling you before? Remember all those kids who can't fight infection? Is it linked? And they also had organ damage to the kidney, lots of kidney stuff, brain, and testes, and I throw that testy one in there for guys. Because why? In my practice, I don't see a lot of dads. I see a lot of guys out here today. I can't crack on guys too much because there are too many of you. And I'm not telling you what car I'm driving, just in case you puncture my tire. But I have to talk to mostly moms. And it's moms that I try to focus on because that's who I see in my practice. Now, again, rats had significant changes to the gut lining. There's Arpad, and he's one of my heroes. So let me go back to the digestive issues that I promised I would get to you. I know you're waiting with bated breath to hear about digestive issues in kids. What am I seeing? I mean, look at this list. I mean, really, this is my day. Abdominal pain, food allergies, whoa, wow. Celiac disease. I'm seeing a new celiac patient every week. Reflux, gastroesophageal reflux. Kids are refluxing. Colicky babies, lots of constipation, some diarrhea, obesity, immune dysfunction I keep mentioning, failure to thrive, babies that aren't growing, and inflammatory bowel disease. And that's not even a complete list, such as ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. So the question, when I had that light bulb go off, I saw a few light bulbs popping here in this crowd, and I said, link. Is there a link between GMOs and digestive issues? So then we get to this issue of leaky gut. And I'm seeing leaky gut all day long. And what is leaky gut? So leaky gut describes intestinal permeability, that's the name, where there are these normal tight junctions that exist in the cells that line your gut lining. And then there's these little zonules that are opening prematurely. And substances that shouldn't be crossing prematurely are, such as food, and microbes and other toxins are getting across, and your immune system is seeing it as a foreign invader, and we're activating an immune response. So this is one thing I think that's happening because of this leaky gut effect based on the toxicity of GMOs. And that's, I think, what the relationship is. There have been more studies since Adparpusti's work, by the way. There's another thing that I'm seeing, and that's called dysbiosis. And what's that? It refers to a condition of microbial imbalance, and it's most prominent in the gastrointestinal tract. So the question is, I'm seeing a lot of kids with not enough healthy bacteria. Is there a relationship between GMOs? So the first question you need to ask is, what do your gut bacteria do? Do we actually need those guys in there? We have more bacterial cells in our body than human cells. They're not just kind of hanging around. So they supply us with amino acids, and those are the building blocks of proteins. They convert tryptophan to serotonin to melatonin. So why am I throwing that in there? Because I have a lot of kids who can't sleep. Many of you probably know that melatonin is used for sleeping issues. Well, I have a lot of kids who are unable to fall asleep. I'm wondering, is this a link, right? Some of you saying, she maybe has something going on here. They maintain the epithelial barrier of the gastrointestinal tract. They guide our immune systems from birth. They create a situation called oral tolerance so that babies can create a bacterial milieu that helps protect them from infection and other things when they pass through the vaginal canal of the mom. So just think about this for a minute. About 25% of births in the US are C-sections. Babies who are born via C-section don't acquire the bacterial flora that they need. One of mine, I mean, we're right in there. So let's talk a little bit about this pesticide, glyphosate. It's the main pesticide in Roundup. And the argument when they were bringing out all this Roundup was, well, gee, it's not harmless to us because we don't have this pathway called the shikimate pathway that kills off the bacteria. So for us, it'll be okay. So humans don't have this pathway, but our gut bacteria do. Could it be possible that the glyphosate is killing our gut bacteria? Now, I know I keep throwing things at you, and I'm going to come home with a big number in the end. I'll bring it all together. So just hang with me if you're like, what's she talking about? So I'm going to just one more study to show you this is real science. So I started looking in the literature. What's the relationship between glyphosate, the pesticide in Roundup, and our microbiome? Is there a relationship? Well, I went into the veterinarian literature. Kids, animals, pretty close. So I looked at this vet study from Germany in December 2012, and they fed these chickens GMO feed and non-GMO feed. And what they found was very interesting, that the highly pathogenic bacteria like Salmonella, you've all heard of that, Clostridium, those species were resistant to glyphosate. And the beneficial bacteria, such as Lactobacillus and Bifidus, the stuff that you eat in yogurt, died off. Now, you've all heard of poultry. We're near Petaluma and Salmonella outbreaks. Is there a link? So what does glyphosate do, that nasty pesticide? I know, I'm just going to town on this thing. So it does a lot of things, and I want to show you how this impacts our children and why this is such a problem to eat this stuff. It's a chelator. Glyphosate is a chelator. What do chelators do? They bind. What do they bind? Minerals. What am I seeing in children? A deficiency of minerals. Which minerals? Calcium, manganese, magnesium. I didn't write up there, I don't know why. Zinc. Oh, zinc. Zinc is a cofactor in immune function. What did I tell you? I'm seeing kids who can't fight infection. Is it related they don't have enough zinc because they don't have a healthy biome because they ate GMO food? Love your bacteria. Iron, cobalt. What else does it do? It inhibits the cytochrome P450 detoxification system, which happens to be the major detoxification system of your body in the liver. And it's also involved with vitamin D. Oh, what else am I seeing? Kids with super low vitamin D levels. Is it related? Maybe. Kills the beneficial bacteria. You saw that vet study. Impairs sulfate synthesis and sulfate transport. Now, what am I talking about? Bill's going to bring me back for the next mini-med series when I talk about autism. Right, Bill? We're going to set that up? Of course. He's just going to yes me. He's like, just get her off the stage. Oh, my God. But this has been shown to be a big problem in autistic children, their ability to sulfate, related to glyphosate. Maybe 1 in 50. Remember that statistic. Livestock illnesses. I didn't show you this really gross slide because I didn't want to gross you guys out after you just had a nice snack back there. But Dr. Judy Carman, this amazing Australian researcher, pig study, pigs' guts are very related to our guts, very similar. Okay, the rats, we're about 90% related to rats. Pigs, a lot closer. I'm not making any personal references here, though. So what about these pigs? GMO-fed pigs, non-GMO-fed pigs, looked at their guts, totally inflamed. Changed their diet, got better. Increased spraying. We have resistance now, so they're spraying more of this stuff. A little bit wasn't enough before, now we got more spraying, and lots of it. Particularly in the Salinas Valley. There's a UC Berkeley researcher named Brenda Eskenazi, who's been studying kids in the Salinas Valley, big growing area, for like almost 12 years. And her results are startling, and with the effect of a certain kind of pesticide, organophosphates, in kids. And lastly, interestingly, increased growth of plant pathogens, particularly fungi and mycotoxins. That's a whole other subject. I'm not even going near that tonight. So this is my favorite genetically modified actor and my favorite genetically modified movie, The Fly. Have you all seen this? Yeah. So you should know that fields, side by side, GMO field, non-GMO field, that animals will fly over the GMO planted field. So they can tell the difference between GMO feed. I tried it. I can't tell the difference. That guy there is Don Huber. Don Huber is a retired plant biologist from the Midwest. He was at Purdue for a long time. He's another one of my heroes, and I've learned a lot about plant biology. He's very outspoken about GMOs, and he was in the business and the industry for a long time. I mean, that's not a good look. So how do we change the direction of our children's health? I don't think Sutter would approve of this method. I've thought about it. Oop. So, of course, if you eat organic food, you avoid the whole GMO mess. So this is easy. I can teach you what foods to avoid if they're non-organic. It gets complicated. It really does. There is a nice food shopping guide you can find on Environmental Working Group site that can teach you what foods to eat and not eat if it's not organic. You know, if I go to a party, my husband said, oh God, just eat the damn thing. I'm kind of sniffing around and looking and eat before I go because I'm worried about eating GMO stuff. I've gotten a little neurotic, a little OCD about this. But there are reasons why, because I see so many sick kids in my practice. That's why. They're living proof that we are a living science experiment. So when I talk to my patients about why they don't switch to organic food, a lot of people tell me, it's just not easy enough, we're busy, I have 3 kids, yada yada, I hear that story a lot. But the number one reason I hear is the cost of organic food. That's what most people tell me, it costs too much. I'd say, well, yeah, it does cost more than regular food, conventionally grown. But where I live in Marin County, most Marinites have no problem recognizing that this $40,000 beautiful Lexus is a good car. It's super expensive, out of your budget, but worth buying, good bang for the buck. However, we know that this $300 hatchback probably not going to get you very far. So in Marin County, where I am, I don't know if it's true for Sonoma County, I would say we have no problem recognizing that money buys you a great car. But money also buys you great food. We have to spend more. Why? Well, eventually the government will need to subsidize organic food the way it does conventionally grown food. That's why it's cheaper. But that's another political topic, and we'll save that for yet one more mini medical school event. Uh-oh. So I'm not saying go out and buy this $1,200 piece of plastic purse. What I'm saying is the power of the purse. And because I'm looking at a lot of ladies out here, ladies, let me just talk to you for 1 second, guys, just hold on. So we women spend all the money. Now, you look at my credit card, and you will see that that's true, and statistically, we spend more money than men. Some women are nodding, they're like looking in their wallets for the credit card bill. So yes, so what does that mean? That we have more power because of where we put our money. So you think twice before you buy something, because it's something called the tipping point in business. When enough businesses see where we're putting our money, they're going to make some changes and getting organic food. And that's the take-home message. Most of my parents leave politicized. They're shaking as they walk out the door. No, I'm gentle. I take them through slowly. So I just want to do one more show of hands. I'm not even doing who never eats organic food. That was clear that you guys are on board. So how many of you, let's just do our little survey one more time, will eat organic food 25% of the time? 50% of the time? 75% of the time? Numbers are going up. 100% of the time. My buddies, my people. Okay, great. So maybe some of you will make some changes in your diets from the result of some of the things that Wendy, myself, and Moses are talking to you about. So I'd just like to thank you and happy eating.